Hey, how's it going? It's me, Ricky Stewart. It's good to see you all ready for some yoga. Got good stuff planned for you today. Smart functional conditioning yoga. So, functional range conditioning is it's a training protocol that's got many different limbs that go out into different directions. It's got functional range conditioning, which is it's just mobility training, often done in like a one-to-one kind of scenario, but it gets spread out across yoga, across Pilates, across powerlifting. Every kind of training you can think of can have some of functional range conditioning's protocols, which is control of the joints in their end range in a rotational capacity, which looks like this for a shoulder, where that shoulder finds all of the end ranges in a rotation, and then you learn how to use that shoulder really well so that you can build capacity in all of those shapes, and then the stuff in the middle kind of looks after itself because you've got a shoulder that knows how to be a shoulder. And then it's got the mobility kind of finding more range in the joints, not just the shoulder, but we'll use this as an example. So it's got pails and rails where you'd hang out in a stretch. So if I put my hand on the wall like this and stretched this muscle here, held it here for around 2 minutes, which is a long time, but we get our body to adapt to having this muscle in its lengthened position, and we create force trying to contract this muscle, trying to make it tight, trying to push into the wall. So I'm trying to fight out of the stretch for about 30 seconds, and then we do 30 seconds pulling the other way so that all the muscles on the other side contract to be able to control the lengthening of this tissue. Then you've got a shoulder that can hopefully find that new range and rotational capacity, and then you've got the full picture. That's everything. And I've also got qualifications in functional range assessment, which means that I can assess you for injuries and things like that, which is why I always make such a big deal about you giving me feedback about what you've got going on, and then I'll be able to talk about it and hopefully, across the magic of the internet, be able to help you without actually seeing you in person. And then we also have FRA, functional range adjustment, where it's manual therapy, so massage and things like that. I also do sports massage in the real world when I get to see people in person, so I kind of use that to, along with the assessment, to be able to help people with injuries and things like that. So this is still a yoga class, so this is still stretchy stuff, a little bit of breathing, a little bit of mindfulness, getting your head around exercise, and hopefully helping you to be able to perform just a little bit better. I'm just going to check in because someone just messaged me before the class, seeing if she could get in. I am live. There we go. I'm just going to get Louise in just to give her a little bit of help because technology isn't her strong point, and we'll get started in just a second. Cool. All right. There it is. I've given her the information. It's up to her now whether she finds me or not. Okay. So, as we settle into this breathing, let's get into thinking about this as progressive exercise. So, if you just hang your wrists over the top of your knees, let your hands just kind of relax, let your fingers relax. And see if you can sit up a bit taller. Maybe it feels like this bottom rib flips up a bit. And soften your shoulders down. As soon as I said that, I could feel like I'm still up like this. I'm still kind of a little bit kind of jumpy, like you are at the beginning of an exercise class. Relax your jaw. See if you can expand your rib cage. And draw belly in as you breathe out. Relax your jaw. Push belly out. And then draw in. Okay. Let's think about how we are trying to better ourselves with exercise, with movement, with getting out of breath, with getting more mobile, with doing stretches. All of this is just progressive practice. You turn up with what you've got like you are now. You've turned up and this is what you've got. And you're going to try and persuade your body that it's capable of a little bit more than what you turned up with. That goes the same for when you go for a run, when you turn to spinning class, when you do Zumba, when you lift weights. You try and persuade your body it's capable of a little bit more. And our bodies will adapt to whatever we throw at it. And that can be good or it can be bad. If you throw lying down on the sofa every day at your body will adapt to lying down on the sofa every day. We can't live like that, so that when you get up and try and move, you are vulnerable because your body's adapted to staying still. It can't do movement anymore. Something gives. Could be your ankle, could be your knee, could be your hip, could be your back, could be your neck, could be your shoulder, could be anything. Just whatever your weak link is. It just depends. So let's think about everything that we do in this class from now on, right from the beginning as well, but from now on, you're going to try and persuade your body that's capable of a little bit more. And that little bit more could just be control and understanding. So right now this isn't taxing, this isn't hard, we're just breathing. See if you can feel a little bit more than you could when you just first sat down, because you breathe all day. You don't have to think about it, but right now, tune in. Feel every little bit. And then do a little bit of movement and feel every bit. And see if you can squeeze ribcage down to the side of your hips, one side to the other, one side to the other. Squeeze a little bit further and think that you are lengthening one side of your ribcage, lengthening the other side of your ribcage. But at the same time, you're shortening one side of your ribcage and then shortening the other side of your ribcage. And both of those sides, one side short, one side long, one side short, one side long, they're both relevant. You can feel both. You can feel the stretch if you really want to, but you could also feel the contraction if you really want to. Feel the stretch, feel the contraction, and get that both of those things work together. And then rolling up onto your knees. And we'll just get into a little bit of cat-cow. Yes. Alright, so push your chest up, tuck your chin, and lift your rib cage as high as you can. Keep pushing up. Hi Louise, I've just seen that you're in. So, this is cat pose. You are trying to round your back as much as you can. Hold this here. See if you can try and spread the floor with your knees and with your hands. Try and rip it apart. Hands don't go anywhere, look. I'm just trying to feel something, so I'm connected to this. And then I want you to only move your lower back as you come into extension. And then it's like you're trying to flip that bottom rib up, push your chest higher, lift your neck, and we're into extension here. So, look at my back. I'm reasonably flexible. Not as flexible as some yoga teachers. I don't have loads of mobility just because I trained for this much. And it's not that much still. See if you can breathe here. Maybe lift your head a little bit more. See if you can rip the floor apart with your knees and with your hands. So you're pulling hands away from each other. And then tuck your chin and bring your head through your arms. Tuck tailbone under. We're back into cat pose. And then move slowly. Remember, everything progressive. You're trying to persuade your body it's capable of more than what you turned up with, just a little bit at a time. It should feel kind of nice. This feels good for me. I can feel myself learning as I do this. That's it. And then I want you to settle right in the middle and squeeze rib cage to hips, or hips to rib cage, one side to the other. That's cool. And then coming up onto your knees. So up high on your knees. I'm going to come close to the camera so you can see me a little bit more. Up high on your knees like this. I want your heels to touch so your bum cheeks turn on. Turn these muscles on your bum. That's it. Put your hands on the bottom rib. And see if you can pull that bottom rib down as you push your hips forwards. Pull this bottom rib down, push hips forwards, and get this turtle back. If I cross my arms over my chest, look, you can see I'm in turtle back. Can you keep the top of your back in turtle back and move your hips? So see how my t-shirt's starting to scrunch up? I'm in a little bit of back bend here, but only here, and I'm still curled over here. And then I'm going to try and lift my collarbone a little bit at a time, move my hips forwards, and end up flipping this rib cage up. So this bottom rib is trying to come up as much as I can. I've got length through these muscles of my belly, and then try and tuck tailbone under, and then pull myself back into turtle back. Go lower back, middle of the back, top of the back, push hips through again, and start again, curling down. Right, let's see if you can get this. You're curled over now, hips are pushed forwards as far as you can, bum muscles are squeezed on. This is all lengthening out. Everything down the back of your t-shirt is lengthened out. Everything down the front of your t-shirt is trying to scrunch up. And then see if you can get lower back to move first. So you move your hips, lift, 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 flip that rib cage up. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to move forward so you can see. Then we'll try and do some rotational stuff. So if you cross your hands over your chest, put your fingers right on top of your shoulders and pull shoulders down away from ears. We're going to do side bend. So you're trying to lengthen one side of your torso. Rotate that way. Keep your hips still facing forward. So see how my hips haven't moved. My pockets are still in the same place. Rotate and then lean back and around and land. Tilted and rotated. Do a little crunch as you come across. Then back the other way. It's really hard to breathe full breaths as you do this, but see what you can find and make yourself really aware of how to move your spine. What I really like to think about when I do all of my movement practice is, can I move like water and can I also be stone? So right now I'm doing this kind of free and easy. I'm not putting a load of energy into contracting muscles and trying to do this with a load of irradiation. I'm just moving and seeing if I can flow into these rotational movements and tilt or change direction every time. Okay, now I want you to just pause and I want you to see if you can tense the muscles of your belly. I'm going to, someone asked me last week about doing more plank and talking about plank and how to make it work for us. This is going to be part of it. You're going to make stability happen here, which is important for yoga. It's important for life. So I want you to flip your bottom rib up. So this stuff lengthens. No pain in your lower back, by the way. And then I want you to pull this bottom rib down. It's important to go to articulate into it. So then I want you to make a fist. I want you to drive your fists into your thighs as hard as you can. Ramp it up a little bit at a time and see if this makes these muscles contract more. It's not just rectus abdominis, it's obliques and it's transverse abdominis as well. See if you can breathe a bit as you drive your fists hard into your thighs and push harder. That's it. And then, let's see if we can get our head around this. I talked a little bit about it in the beginning. One side pulls, one side pushes. If one side lengthens, one side shortens, that's the same here. The muscles in your back, the muscles in your belly, and the muscles around your belly all work as a team to be able to stabilise your spine to make it a strong structure if you need it to be. It needs to be able to go from water to a strong structure whenever you need it. Make that as strong a structure as you can, and then cross your arms over your chest and try and move, but stop yourself. Feel like there's muscles in the way. So you try and do a crunch, and you can feel like you can't, these muscles are on too tight. You can't pull yourself over. It's like if you tense like this, you try to bend your arm, but you can't because you tense this so hard and tense this so hard. Both sides are on hard. Front and back is on hard. This stuff's on hard. You cannot shift. And then try and do a bit of extension. So try and flip this bottom rib up like this. Feel like you're pulling yourself tight here, and these muscles in your back are trying to contract to bring you back into back bend, but you can't. Hold it, hold it, hold it. If you get that, then you can hopefully call on that when you need it. So if you land heavy, these muscles here can like be a suspension device that you can kind of you can still move, but you're going to land strong and then be able to reverse back out, go from a weak place back to a strong place. And that's kind of important. Okay, then let's get into moving our hips around first before we get into any stretchy stuff. If you lift your knee, show me the inside of your thigh, lift your heel and drag your knee back. Pause here. You're trying to get your knee as far away from the other knee as you can without changing this hip, because this knee can go further if I share it, but you see how I shared that out. I'm trying to get this one hip to perform by itself. Look how you can barely see my foot because my knee's bent. If you're going like this, that isn't it, because you can see my foot, look. And then I want you to go knee towards the other knee, pick it up, find that place again where you can't see your foot if I was looking at your face on. Then knee towards the other knee, up, out, heel up, knee back. Get that knee as far away from the other knee without changing this hip, knee to knee, and up. Again, I'd like it if you can do this like water, but also you can find tension and find structure wherever you need it. So that sometimes looks like this, where if I tense my arm, I'm going to push this fist into my chest, I'm going to hold this fist out for a bit of balance, I'm going to push into these corners and find the ability to make all of these muscles all the way around my hip work. Let's try it on the other side. So if balance is a real struggle for you, just hold on to something and it's allowed, it's fine. Hold it here for a second like we did. Try and hide your heel behind your knee so your knee's got a 90-degree bend in it. Pull this knee the other way. Try and stay upright. Head over the top of your balance point is good. Is a good cue for balance, because as soon as my head comes away from my centre point, balance gets a lot harder. And then knee towards the other knee. Up, out, heel up, knee back, knee to knee. Oh, terrible balance. Big toe is important. My big toe peeled off the floor and nearly fell over. If you do a desk job, getting up and doing this is probably one of the best things you can do. This and a bit of cat-cow to get a bit of movement, a bit of circulation into the muscles that control your spine and control your hips can really help you combat you just sitting with this 90-degree passive hip flexion. There we go. Let's go one more. Okay. Let's go into kind of wide legs. Right. Think about your footprint. Before we move on, your feet are a little bit wider than your hips. Feel what's touching the floor. What part of your foot is touching the floor? And then check in with every bit of it by pushing down harder. Push big toes down individually. Push little toes down individually. Push the ball of your foot down individually. And then, this is important, the outside edge, the blade of your foot from little toe to heel pushes down into the floor just by itself. And then heels, and then do all of them at the same time. Big toe, little toes, ball of foot, outside edge, heels. That is your strong structure. Show me that you've got a little bend in your knees and there's play, so you can go right, left, back, forwards with your knees. Forwards, back, left, right. They're all available to knees and they can do their own individual stuff as well, like this, in little mini circles. I like having options. If you lock your knees out, what options have you got? One option. I nearly did that, that's two options. Just one option for each knee. They can only go forwards and then they can go anywhere. Let's keep it where your legs are straight but you've got options. Okay, then hold on to your rib cage. Feel where the distance between that bottom rib and your pelvis. Maybe even mark it. So you might be able to feel your iliac crest, this little bony bit here, this bottom rib. That distance is going to stay the same as you hinge neatly at the waist to be able to find this hamstring stretch. What's your footprint done? Has it changed? Because it might have done. My hair's very long, it keeps getting in my eye. There we go. Drop this belly button down lower and see if you can keep your collarbones up. Can you still feel this little bit of play in your knees? Show me. Right, left, forwards, back. Left, right, forwards, back. So all those options, and look for this feeling of stretchy stuff down the back of your legs. No locked knees. Locked knees are allowed. It's not wrong to lock your knees in any situation, really. Kinda, maybe a little bit. but I like this. This is preferable to me that I've got play available. And then I want you to just hang and breathe and see if you can feel the stretch down the back of your thighs, but your spine isn't adapting to help you think that you're doing better, which looks like this. And I can actually lose hamstring stretch when I get my head lower because I've just curled my spine over and I end up just stretching this stuff down the back of my t-shirt and not thinking about this posterior chain of my legs that I'm actually after. It might help you if you've got a piece of furniture in front of you that you can put your hands on so you don't have to have all your weight on your feet. But let's think about those feet again. Pour the weight forwards, almost fall forwards and feel your toes catch, and then see if you can drop your belly button any lower. And then slowly start letting your spine curl around, and maybe you can get fingertips to floor. And I want you to press the outside edge of your foot down harder now. And breathe here. Now try and pull your feet towards each other and just feel like the muscles in your groin are on a little bit. Almost fall forwards more, curl your spine over more, and breathe. We're still hanging out, but I want you to really try and pull feet towards each other. And then I want you to bend your knees slowly, 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 slowly. Bend your knees more. Now try and find your footprint again. So with your hips as low as they'll go, can you push down the outside edge of this foot? You can hold onto a piece of furniture if you want, or you can have your fingertips on the floor, or you can just be floaty like this. All of those are absolutely fine. Find the one that you prefer. And you can play around with the feet position as well. I want you to push your knees away from each other to try and get this outside edge of your foot down. And then move your hips side to side. Keep your hips as low as you can as you go side to side to side. And maybe your feet need to be wider. I think mine do. As you hang out with one leg straight, one leg bent, can you still keep the outside edge of this foot pressed down? And look for this little stretch here, and look for this leg being strong, and then come across the other way. Push that knee out, outside edge of your foot down. Breathe. Remember, you can use a piece of furniture as well if you want to have your sofa or your bed in front of you. You just got your hands up on it like this. That's absolutely fine. Come across again. Come across again. And then press up. And wherever you've landed with your feet, keep them there. Pour the weight down into your toes. Push the outside edge of your foot down. Show me that you've got play in your knees. And then look for this stretch down the back of your legs again. And then see if you can find that flat back that we started with. Lifting your collarbone, keeping your belly button low. And then try and put your elbows in your pockets. That is hands just here, like in front of your chest. Try and pull elbows back. Try and press down the outside edge of your foot. This should be kind of exhausting now. And then drive hips forwards and tense your bum. Hold it here for a second. Show me this footprint. Show me the bend in your knees, but kind of straight legs. Pour the weight down into your toes. And then see if you can connect to a strong belly here. So I want you to irradiate all the strength around everything here. Maybe fists into your thighs helps you. And do short little breaths. Try not to do big long yoga breaths because you won't be able to make tension here very successfully if you're being all flowy with your breath, big long breaths. You can learn that, but it's harder. Tense your belly as hard as you can. Try and do a crunch here, but you can't because these muscles are in the way. Try and extend, but you can't because these muscles are holding you tight. Perfect. Okay. Come down onto your knees. Let's have a little think about downward facing dog, plank, and all of these things. So, if your wrists don't like this, you can go elbows down. It will be dolphin instead of downward facing dog. Dolphin's hard to do, but we'll see how you get on. Before we start, I want you to think about the structure of your hands. Push your fingertips down as hard as you can. Try and make a little bridge underneath your knuckles. So if you lift your knuckles, so the heel of your hands and your fingertips are down. Now think about the circumference of both hands. So that's all the way around the outside edge of both hands. Pull your hands towards each other and push your chest as high as you can. Lift your rib cage, so your bottom rib comes closer to your hips and your tailbone tucks under. Then tuck your toes and lift your knees just a little bit. Hold it here for a second. This is kind of like an easy plank. Knees just off the floor, weight around the circumference of your fingers and the heel of your hands, and then lift your hips, and then push your heels down towards the floor and try and lengthen your spine, and then see if you can pull your bottom rib away from your hips. So that's kind of like you're lengthening and pushing through the floor with the circumference of your hands, heels down towards the floor. Dolphin looks like this, much harder. Your wrists can't deal, you can do that, but it's proper hard. Lengthen, 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 and then bend one knee, and bend the other knee, bend one knee, and bend the other knee. Breathe. Okay, and then let's come back down to all fours and just hold this here for a second. If we're going to talk about plank and use it as a transition pose, it's hard. It's a tough pose, but I want to make it harder. I want you to be able to adapt, to be able to do this stronger, not longer. I've never said that before, I kind of like it. Push your fingertips down, lift your knuckles, pull your hands towards each other, push your chest up so you can get all of that at the same time. Pull your hands towards each other, fingertips down, knuckles up. You all got that? Push your chest higher, pull the rib cage up, take a step back with one foot, take a step back with the other foot, and your heels touch. Look at the structure. I'm a humpback bridge. Humpback bridges are strong. If my humpback bridge starts collapsing like this, I'll be here for a while because it's not tiring. I'm just holding myself up with my skeleton and a couple of muscles are kind of clinging on. I'd rather lift those hips and try and tuck your tailbone under, and then I want you to try and pull your feet towards your hands and hold it. You all know chaturanga, so that's dropping down to the floor. If you can do chaturanga, I'll be very impressed because it's very hard to do it really well. This position here is tough, but if you can drop yourself down really slowly without letting your spine collapse, without letting your spine change, you are winning at plank anyway. You don't need me to teach you. That's such a tough exercise for general population. See if we can get a modified version of that. I want you to push your chest up, lift your rib cage and swing your head forwards. Look at how I'm in a little bit of a long hands and knees. So I'm not knees under hips, I'm a little bit further back. Can you hold this plank here and make it harder by pulling your hands towards your knees like you're trying to shorten the floor. Push your chest up more and ramp that tension up, and then see if you can pull your thighs to the floor and you're allowed to free fall this bit here. Let's do that one more time. Push your chest up, pull on the floor, pull your head forwards, push your heels together, thighs down towards the floor. Fantastic, let's go one more. If you're good for a full chaturanga, it's the same deal. I pull myself forwards, so I've got my bum muscles tense and my spine doesn't shift as I drop. Perfect, let's stay lying on our belly and talk a little bit about back bends. We've already practiced a load of shapes with our spine. It's kind of important that you understand this. Gravity is heavy. If I lift my chest here, gravity is pushing down on my back and it's trying to push me back here. I don't spend very long on my belly doing back bends for me and my training, but let's just have a little play around with it and see if we can get it. If you push your heels together, feel your bum muscles tense. Can you tuck your tailbone under by like pushing your hips down into the floor? And then bring your fingertips down, and I want you to push your shoulder blades apart, and then lift your chest just a little bit, and then can you take your hands away and own whatever back bend you've got. I think you just need to spend time here in this position, knowing that you own this before we start playing around with going up into upward facing dog or cobra, or even Sphinx pose like this. And they're all lovely poses, I enjoy them, I quite like them, but I want you to spend time knowing how to get from flexion to extension. So, push your heels together, tense your bum, try and tuck your tailbone under if you can, fingertips down just either side of your shoulders, spread your shoulder blades, lift your chest, and see if you can take your hands away and own whatever you've got without pain. Keep pushing those heels together to make bum muscles tense. Going 3, 2, 1, drop back down, and just come back into child's pose. So hips back to heels, reach your hands down just to show your spine, just something a bit opposite to that. So imagine lifting your bottom rib away from the floor here. And just breathe here. See if you can push your hands down into the floor. That's it. And then coming up, and then up high on your knees again. And let's check in with what we've just practiced there. We were lying on our belly and gravity was pointing down at us. We can be in the same position here or stood up on our feet. I like this because it gets our ankles out of the way, and an extra joint is another joint to have to control and make stability with. Cross your arms over your chest. Actually, no, don't. Hold your hands in front of your shoulders and imagine like you're in press-up position. Tuck your tailbone under, like I asked you to, lying down, so you can get this upright. And then keep your hands where they are and push yourself up into flipping this rib cage up. And hold it. That's exactly what you were doing, but you don't have any load now. The load's coming down through all of your structure, all of your skeleton and all the muscles holding you up. I'd rather you practice the back bend like this and trying to get it to be that each individual vertebra does its each individual job. If one of them can't, the one above or the one below will pick it up. And what we see often, and what I see a lot of when I get clients come to me with a bad back, is their thoracic junction, so between lumbar and thoracic, kind of up top of lower back, normally does all of the hinge and the stuff below doesn't move. And that junction, that one vertebra, does all the extra movement, that disc gets pummeled over the years of that consecutive just wearing away on that connective tissue. That stuff goes first. I want to know that you can share it out, and you should be able to practice this by doing back bends and doing planks and things like that, where you understand what shape your spine is in and you really get that drilled in before you move on to doing harder poses like upward facing dog. Okay, let's get into some stretchy stuff. Let's get into 90-90. So if you sit down on your bum, I'm going to overrun a tiny bit. Hopefully I'm not holding anyone up. Left leg forwards, right leg back. Pick up this right leg and bring it back like this. So you've got your shin across the room. Let's just think about that. Your chest is going to be across the room as well, at the same angle as your shin. And this heel isn't too close to your groin. So if it looks like this, look, it's too close. Bring it out a little bit, and you can always bring it in if you need it. If you can't have it here, that's fine. You're allowed to have a cushion under your knee as well, by the way, if you really struggle with this. But here's good. And then I want you to drop down as far as you can and hold this here. While you're here, look for this stretch on the outside of your left hip. Think about your spine dropping right down the middle of your shin, and then see if your lower back could be any straighter. So if I go like this, look, I don't know if you can tell straight on, but I'm doing a C shape this way, and I lose the stretch here because my spine is moved out of the way. As soon as I've straightened myself up and drop a little bit more, there, I'm getting a big stretch here. I need you to explore that and find it yourself, so that you understand how to put yourself into these positions and not just settle with how you've dropped into your stretches, because there's so many variations, there's so many variables. Like, got your elbows down here, it's not much more of a stretch. I've just curled my spine around. This crease has actually stayed the same. I can feel it. The distance here is kind of the same here to here, but it's still different. My building blocks have changed a little bit. I've changed the top of the structure, which can dictate what happens at the bottom of the structure as well. Keep in this stretch, and then think about this back leg. I want you to push your heel down and lift your knee and drop it back down. Lift your knee and drop it back down, and try and feel the outside of this hip. Your heel's pushing down and your back knee is lifting. Heel's pushing down, back knee's lifting. Okay, Then do the opposite, knee down, heel lifts. My foot's a tiny bit under the sofa, so I've got to like just manoeuvre it past there. Oh, that is crampy and horrible for me. It might be for you as well. Keep lifting this heel. I lack internal rotation, so this is good training for me. Be able to get all of this stuff on the outside of my hip to get good at internally rotating this femur, this thigh bone, and drop as low as you can into this stretch. And see if you can drop your belly low. See how I've got my forearm and I've put it on the sole of my foot. I'm using that to pull me across. I'm going to try and straighten my spine and find this end range. Cool. And then coming up. Now let's swing this back leg around to the front, this leg around to the back. We're still only 3 minutes over time now. We'll wrap it up in a couple of minutes more. So you've got different stuff I've got different stuff going on in this hip. You definitely do as well. We are different from side to side, so try and feel what it feels like and explore it a little bit. See if you can work out what your spine needs to do to be able to find the right stuff. Stick in this, remember, spine down the middle of your shin. Don't have this heel too close to your groin. Breathe, relax your jaw a little bit. Keeping it. And then heel down on this back foot and lift your knee. If this back knee just lifts like 1 millimeter and you're like, that's it, that's all you've got, that's real, that's true. If you do this to lift it, then clearly you're on a big height, but I've just shifted my torso out of the way. That isn't it. See if you can drop lower. Can you feel both things happening at the same time? You can feel this outside of your right hip stretch, but you can also feel the outside of this hip contract. And then the other way, knee down. Right, come on then, hip, heel up. I could barely anything. I might have been neglecting this a little bit over lockdown because this feels really hard. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to persuade my body it's capable of more than what it turned up with by just doing repetitions of this. Keep trying to tune into it. It's barely lifting, but I'm just making the tissue. I can feel the right stuff contracting. It just needs to get stronger, so I need to spend time getting it to work. But you know, it's easy to get down on yourself when you feel like you're not as strong as you should be. I don't feel like I'm as strong as I should be, but I'm much stronger than I was 5 years ago in this direction. Much better. Much better than my early 30s self in my late 30s, because I spend a lot more time doing this kind of stuff. There we go. And then I want you to drop as low as you can and find this stretch in the outside of your hip. Cool. And then coming up onto all fours again. If your wrists are like, that's enough all fours for me actually, you can use the top of your sofa like this and it's fine. I'm going to stick with normal all fours. I want you to see if you can just move your lower back with your heels touching and heels pushed together hard. It's only lower back tilts. See how the top of my back is staying still? Hopefully you can kind of tell that. I'm just making my lower back move. But remember, it's got this difference that I am pushing my heels together to make my bum muscles tense. Perfect. And then coming round into into bear sit like this. So about 2 fists distance between your heels, like this. If you're near a wall or a sofa like I am, you're allowed to use the sofa to sit against to see if you can flip this bottom rib up. Push those knees down as much as you can. And then I want you to lift up your right leg, straighten this leg out, internally rotate it, externally rotate, internal, external, external. get this pencil sharpener rotation from this hip. That's so hard. And bring it back, and settle. And then go the other leg, straighten this leg out, internal, external, internal, external. Couple more. Makes me do again. There we go. And then I want you to push with your forearms or your wrists or whatever you can reach with, about 2 fist distance between your heels, and try and push your knees down towards the floor. Hopefully you get a little stretch here. Flip the bottom rib up. Use your sofa if you have to. If you're good for it, you can just sit upright like this, look. Keep pushing down. Then I want you to try and drive your knees up into your forearms. So you're trying to squeeze your knees together as your fists push out. 3, 2, 1. And then just soften and see if you can push those knees down towards the floor just by pushing feet through the floor. Flip this bottom rib up. This is our last bit of hard work, I promise. Settle your breathing down. Keep pushing these knees down. Use your sofa if you have to. We can get into a bit more slower, steady breathing. Feel if you can be in control of that rib cage expanding. And pull heel in, and then the other heel in. Sit cross-legged. I'm going to keep using the sofa because this is much comfier for me. Soften your shoulders down. I like noticing things. I like feeling differences, good or bad, as well. Because at the beginning of this class and at the end of this class, as soon as I slow things down and I go through the stuff that I always say, I kind of repeat the same things a lot about being able to soften these shoulders, I noticed that I gained about 2 or 3 millimeters letting them just soften down. And it's not like I'm actively saying shoulders down and back, which you can say. It's not wrong to say that, but I don't like that gripping onto it. I want to just see if I can just let them be soft, let them be water, let them flow where they want to flow. And I can be strong here and just turn on those muscles. So I can be water, I can be stone. I can get from a weak place to a strong place. I have control. That's what I want for you. That's what I find exciting about training this mobility stuff and making it progressive, making it like strength training, making it so you've got some push, some pull, some control, some rotation. It's fun for me. Alright, so let your eyes close. Just tune into what you've got going on. All the internal stuff. Just looking inwards. Like scanning your body for feelings, for muscles, for joints, for things that are holding on. It's not wrong that anything's holding on. I just want you to know that that's what you do, that's your habit, that's your handwriting. You know what I mean by that? We all have our own handwriting. It's ours. We use it when we write on a page. The way you move, the way you communicate with your world is your handwriting. It's unique to you. Like we said, our body will adapt to whatever you do. If you do the same movements a lot, your body adapts to be able to do those same movements. You go outside of that window of the movements that you've been doing, you might be a bit vulnerable. So if we expand our options, learn how to be strong in every shape, then you are bulletproof. That's what we want. Okay, bring palms together. Bring thumbs to forehead, tuck your chin, roll forwards. Namaste. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I know you've all got busy lives and you got stuff to do, but I appreciate you being here, especially Rob Sewell dropping an aubergine on me every now and again. That's always fun to see. Amazing. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Let's hope for hairdressers very soon so that we can sort this out. That'd be nice. All right, Thanks guys, appreciate you all. I'll see you later. Bye.